Chamath Palihapitiya, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but I apologize. Forgive me, I tried there. He's a Canadian venture capitalist, and he's the founder and CEO of Social Capital. He was one of the early executives of Facebook, and so he's very well off. He's part owner of the Golden State Warriors as well. And he went on CNBC and dropped an amazing truth bomb in this clip, and this clip went really viral. It's about the COVID bailout package.
You keep saying propping up zombie companies. Are you arguing to let airlines, for example, fail?
Yes.
Why? I mean, how does that make sense in the broader scheme of the economy?
Because when you look at what it means, this is why I'm saying, this is a lie that's been purported by Wall Street. When a company fails, it does not fire their employees. It goes through a packaged bankruptcy, right? If anything, what happens is the people who have the pensions inside those companies, the employees of these companies, end up owning more of the company. The people that get wiped out are the speculators that own the unsecured tranches of debt or the folks that own the equity. And by the way, those are the rules of the game. That's right, because these are the people that purport to be the most sophisticated investors in the world. They deserve to get wiped out. But the employees don't get wiped out. The pensions don't typically get wiped out.
Why does anybody, I just don't understand, why does anybody deserve, using your word, to get wiped out from a crisis created like this? How does anybody deserve to get wiped out?
Well, but just be clear, who are we talking about? We're talking about a hedge fund that serves a bunch of billionaire family offices? Who cares? Let them get wiped out. Who cares? They don't get the summer in the Hamptons? Who cares?
I mean, there are people. You don't think the employees? Hold on, Scott. You don't think the employees of these companies own stocks? I mean, own their stocks, own the company's stocks?
You can look on Bloomberg and you can see what percentage of these companies are typically owned by. These things are owned by BlackRock. These things are owned by these huge, amorphous organizations. Ultimately, downstream, and the employee owns a few $100s or a few thousand dollars of shares.
Well, I just don't understand. This is like a natural disaster. And why does anybody deserve to get wiped out? Wouldn't that be immoral in and of itself?
No, because what's happening right now is what I'll tell you is on Main Street today, people are getting wiped out. And right now, rich CEOs are not. Boards that had horrible governance are not. Hedge funds are not. People are. 6 million people just this week alone basically saying, holy mackerel, I don't know how I'm going to make my own expenses for the next few weeks, days, months. So it's happening today to individual Americans. And what we've done is disproportionately prop up and protect poor performing CEOs, companies, and boards. And you have to wash these people out.
So that was absolutely awesome. But here's the thing, guys. And this is the part of the conversation nobody's saying. This clip went viral. Everybody, it was all over my Twitter feed. People were loving it and talking about it. Now, I don't know this gentleman's politics. I really don't. But he could be a total free market libertarian making that argument. See, everybody's listening to that and thinking it's definitely like a lefty because he's saying, stick it to the owners or whatever. But what people need to understand is, yes, you can be a lefty and make that case. In fact, you should. But it's also the case that a free market libertarian would be like, okay, so your business went out, tough cookies. It's called the free market. That's how it works. You see what I'm saying? That you can make that argument from that perspective as well. It doesn't have to be a lefty. He's just like, okay, well, we have this thing called the free market, and, we're hitting a downturn, and you guys are not staying afloat, so it is what it is. In the same way that, your local dry cleaner might go out of business. The government doesn't rush in and bail them out. So why the hell should the government rush in and bail out the airlines as well? And then this guy's like, well, hold on, that seems a little out there. But his point is, it's not like the failing company, it goes through a managed bankruptcy where, they figure out exactly what to do with it and who takes a haircut. And so we have a process. And, I think that what he's saying is totally reasonable. You could take his approach, or, what I've been arguing for is, I don't know if you'd say it's the polar opposite, but it's temporarily nationalizing the companies, which is like, okay, so yes, we get it. We're hitting a rough patch through no fault of this company's own. Like, they didn't do anything wrong. It's just that the entire economy is grounding to a halt because of a pandemic. Okay, so what do you do in that situation? Well, we want to keep payroll going. You know, we want everything to go without a hiccup and to weather this storm, no matter how long it lasts. They probably don't have the cash reserves to make that happen. So just temporarily nationalize it. The government picks up the payroll, runs everything, and then when the economy at some point gets back to some semblance of normal, then you turn it back over to private hands. But yeah, he can make this argument from a right-wing perspective or a left-wing perspective. But what he's saying is what we do now makes no sense because it's corporate socialism. You go in there and you bail out the investors. And the whole point of these investors was supposed to be like, oh, these are like the savvy, most intelligent guys in the room. It's like, well, okay, if they were the most intelligent guys in the room, then they wouldn't like perpetually screw up every single thing they do. But what happens is they do screw up everything, and then the government always rushes in and bails them out. But his point is, it's not like airlines will no longer exist if you let these airlines fail. That's his point. And I think that's a fair point. But again, do we go in the right-wing direction of, hey, you failed, and so go through the managed bankruptcy? Or do you go in the left-wing direction of, hey, you failed, but it's through no fault of your own, so let's temporarily nationalize it? But I have a feeling him and I would ultimately have similar terms, even if he has a right-wing approach to this, because what he's saying is, even if it goes through the bankruptcy, the only people who will get hurt are the investors, and I'm fine with that. And what I would say is, even if we temporarily nationalize these companies, yeah, I mean, you cut them out of the process completely. You know, they're not going to get a high return on investment or something like that. No. So ultimately, I think we would end up in a similar place with our solutions, but one approach would be from the right, a very capitalist approach, and the other approach would be from the left, which would be a temporary nationalization approach. Either way, what we did is the exact wrong thing, which is rush in, give bailouts, but the bailouts don't have strong rules and terms, so people at the top swim in that bailout money. Corporate socialism for the corporations, socialism for the top brass of the corporations. And then what they do is take the bailout money and fire people anyway and hurt the regular people anyway. So it's Naomi Klein shock doctrine. Use a tragedy and exploit it and implement your pre-existing agenda. And the pre-existing agenda of the corporatocracy is give us all the money, let us loot the treasury, give us all the power, and you